The Nikon Z9 II, the camera that changes everything. Stop everything you're doing. The Nikon Z9 II leaks have officially hit the internet. And let me tell you, this is not just a minor refresh or a mark to update. We are witnessing a total industry takeover. We are talking about 8.3K Red RAW video recorded internally. We are talking about a 46-megapixel stacked sensor that is 3.5 times faster than the original Z9. And the kicker, a native ISO of 32, that is medium format territory inside a mirrorless body. If even half of these rumors are true, Sony and Canon don't just have a competition problem, they have a massive existential crisis. Over the next section of this video, I am going to break down every single leak spec in surgical detail. I'm going to compare it to the Sony A1 II and the Canon R1. I'll tell you exactly who this is for and, more importantly, who should stay far away from it. Let's dive into the biggest camera story of the decade, the Red acquisition. The secret weapon. Biggest story here is just a sensor. It's a marriage. Nikon recently bought Red Digital Cinema, and the Z9 II, the first child of that marriage. For years, if you wanted Red RAW, the gold standard for Hollywood cinema, you had to buy a Red camera. That meant spending $10,000 just for the brain. Then you had to buy the rigs, the proprietary batteries, and deal with the Red pain. Nikon is about to change the game. The Z9 II is rumored to shoot 12-bit 8.3K Red RAW internally. It fits in your camera bag. This is a direct, aggressive attack on Sony and Canon. Sony still forces you to use external Atomos recorders for high-end RAW. Canon has RAW, but it's often plagued by heavy crops or overheating issues. Nikon is basically saying, you want cinema quality without the cinema headache. Come to us. Spec 1. The Speed Demon Sensor. Let's talk about the hardware. Spec number 1 is the 46-megapixel stacked sensor. Now, 46 megapixel sounds familiar, but the 3.5 times faster part is the headline. The original Z9 already had one of the fastest readout speeds in the world, fast enough to ditch the mechanical shutter entirely. If this new sensor is 3.5 times faster, rolling shutter is effectively dead. It doesn't exist anymore. For sports photographers shooting a swinging golf club or wildlife photographers capturing a bird's wings at 1/32,000th of a second, this is the holy grail. There will be zero distortion. This speed also feeds the autofocus system, allowing the camera to see the world more times per second than the human brain can even process. Spec 2. 8.3K Red RAW internali is 8.3K matter. It's not just a bigger number than 8K. Shooting in 8.3K gives you overscan or padding if you are delivering a project in 4K. 8.3K allows you to zoom in 200%, reframe your shot, stabilize the footage, and still maintain perfect 4K clarity. But the real magic is the REDIPP, the color pipeline. Red's color science handles skin tones and highlight roll-off better than almost anyone else. Putting that math inside a Nikon body means you get the Nikon look with the Red flexibility. This makes the Z9 II a legitimate cam for cinema productions, not just a backup. Spec 3. The ISO 32 revolution. This is the one that has the landscape and studio community buzzing. Most full-frame cameras have a base ISO of 100 or B64, a native ISO of 32, almost unheard of in this segment. Why is this a big deal? First, it means you can shoot with fast lenses like an f1.2 or f0.95 in broad daylight without needing heavy ND filters. Second, lower ISO usually equates to higher dynamic range and less noise in the shadows. This is moving into the territory of Phase 1 or Hasselblad medium format back. If you are a landscape photographer wanting to capture the textures of a waterfall or the deep shadows of a canyon, ISO 32 is your new best friend. Spec 4. 120 FPS RAW continuous. Let's put the speed in perspective. The Sony A1 hits 30 frames per second. The Canon R1 hits 40. Nikon is rumored to be hitting 120 frames per second in full resolution RAW. That is insane. That is essentially shooting a 120 fps video where every single frame is a high quality, editable raw photo. You will never miss a moment again. If a soccer player hits a ball, you have 120 choices for that 1 second of action. However, this comes with a warning. Your storage is going to suffer. You are going to need the fastest Express Type B cards on the planet, and you're going to fill them up in minutes. The potential failures. Where Nikon could lose, but let's be real, no camera is perfect. There are 3 places where Nikon could mess this up. The first is price. The original Z9 was a steal at $5,500, but with red technology inside. Nikon might feel they can charge cinema prices. If this camera jumps to $7,000 or $8,000, it becomes a much harder sell for the average professional. Second is the heat. Processing 8.3K red raw creates enough heat to cook an egg. Nikon will need a massive heat sink or internal fans. If the camera is too bulky or if it shuts down after 15 minutes of filming, the Pro label goes out the window. Third is the workflow. RED raw files are massive. Most people's laptops will melt trying to edit 8.3K 12-bit files. This camera requires an entire ecosystem of expensive hard drives and high-end workstations. The brain, EXPEED 8, and everything I just mentioned is controlled by the rumored EXPEED 8 processor. The Z9's EXPEED 7 was great, but it occasionally struggled with sticky autofocus on very small subjects or in extreme low light. The EXPEED 8 is rumored to be a dedicated AI processing powerhouse. Nikon is moving towards subject-specific AI. Imagine telling your camera, focus only on the driver's helmet in car number 44, and it stays locked regardless of what crosses the frame. Sony has been the autofocus king for 5 years, but for the first time, Nikon has the processing power to actually take the crown. The market verdict: Nikon versus Sony versus Canon. When we look at the landscape, the Sony A1 II, a refined beast, but it feels like an evolution. The Canon R1 is a workhorse, but it feels safe. The Nikon Z9 II feels like a revolution. It is Nikon taking a massive risk to become the #1 camera brand in the world again. If you are a professional sports photographer or a high-end filmmaker, the Z9 II is likely the only camera you will need for the next 5 years. If you are a hobbyist or a travel vlogger, please do not buy this. It is too heavy, too expensive, and too complex. In my opinion, if these leaks are even 80% accurate, Nikon has just won the decade. They aren't just making a better camera, they are changing what we expect a camera to do. By bringing red into the fold, they have bridged the gap between photography and cinema in a way that no one else has. If you like the video, subscribe, share the video, and hit the bell icon. We are tracking these leaks every single day, and as soon as the official announcement drops, we will be the first to have the real-world tests for you. What feature are you most excited about? Is it the ISO 32 or that crazy 120 FPS RAW? Drop a comment below. I'll be pinning the most insightful answer. Thanks for watching. Go out there and shoot something incredible, and I'll see you in the next one.